everyone, welcome to episode 23 of Otome Shimai.
I'm Vicky.
And I'm Vika.
And we are sisters who play Otome games. So before we get started with recording today, I just want to thank Vika because she bought me Uggs.
You're very welcome. I mean, my sister needs to keep her feet warm.
My feet are very warm, and I really, really appreciate it.
Yes, well, it's one part to your needs of comfort, but also part to your needs of your disorder.
Anyways, I'm going to use that as a segue to say that this episode, we're going to be talking about side characters again.
Oh, are we sidetracked again?
We're sidetracked again.
Well, today we're doing Sidetracked by Side Characters Part 2. In the last episode, we spoke about side characters in otome games that we would love to be able to date. In this episode, we're broadening the scope a little bit. There are plenty of side characters who are bonable, but what about the others? Today, we're talking about the characters that make life more interesting and occasionally more difficult for the MC. I mean, we'd still like to date some of them, but we'll get to that later. First, though, who are you doing this week? Okay, I'm going to try to remember that for next time.
Please do. I'm so happy that after like more than 20 episodes, we finally have a theme song for Who Are You Doing This Week? We've been trying to come up with one since we originally started Who Are You Doing This Week, which I think we started on episode 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can't come up with songs.
I'm not a songwriter, and I'm really bad at writing melodies, so I'm happy that I came up with that.
But you can sing melodies. I cannot.
That's true. Well, tell me, who are you doing this week?
So I actually finished Alan's route from Cupid Parasite this week.
Okay, Alan. Alan is, remind me.
So Alan is the incubus. He's the quote-unquote stolen parasite. I forget what they translate it to in English, but he goes after women who are already taken.
Okay.
It ended up being a lot angstier than I originally thought it would be.
Angstier. I mean, he kind of does look like an angsty character.
Yeah, he
Dark
does.
and brooding, purple hair in front of his face, all that, right?
Yeah, but I don't know. Like, when you go through the common route, he doesn't seem super angsty. And then you get to his actual route, and it's really, really, really angsty. I did, however, like him more than I thought I would.
Oh, that's always good.
Yeah.
I love when I start a route and I don't think I'm going to like the character, and I end up absolutely loving them.
Yeah. What about you? Who are you doing this week?
So I actually started TAFELLOWS.
Oh, yay! I'm so glad that you started this game.
I finally started the localization of TAFELLOWS. I got it when it came out, and I, of course, wanted to start with Limbo, our lawyer. So I'm about halfway through his route, and I love the way that you finally get to realize whose route you're in. Like, there are cues in the game that tell you whose route you're actually in. And I think my favorite one of those cues is when they decide what to name the cat. Depending on what route you're going for determines what the cat's name is. So in this route, they named the cat Max, and I thought it was adorable.
Well, I really hope that you end up liking TAFELLOWS, because for me, TAFELLOWS was a super interesting game. There are quite a few aspects to the game that I felt made it really unique for an otome game, and I'm sure we'll end up talking about it later.
Yes, we will. So shall we get on to today's main topic?
But our main topic is not main characters.
It's side characters.
So who's the first one we're going to talk about?
First, we're getting sidetracked by Karl-Heinz from Diabolik Lovers.
Karl-Heinz from Diabolik Lovers.
Yes.
So for those of you who don't know what Diabolik Lovers is, although if you listened to this podcast before, you definitely know what Diabolik Lovers is. It's a terrible, terrible game.
It's a wonderful, wonderful game.
It is. It's about vampires. And Karl-Heinz is the king of the vampires.
Yes, he is gorgeous, he is powerful, and he's also a sociopath.
He's pretty terrible. He's powerful to the point that no other vampire would even think of going up against him. They're all terrified of him. It's made very, very clear throughout all of the games that his word is kind of law.
Yeah. Are his sons terrified of him too, though?
So he's the father of the 6 main allies. And I guess in some ways they're afraid of their dad, but mostly they just hate him.
Yeah, he's a really terrible father.
He really, really, really is. He's also a terrible husband.
Definitely a terrible husband to all of their mothers.
Yeah, he had 3 wives, constantly pitted them against each other. It was just a lot of weird, manipulative competitiveness in his castle when they were growing up.
Well, the whole thing is he needs to figure out who's going to be his successor, right?
Yeah. But the way that he does that is by, like, manipulating his sons and the people around his sons and just putting them through, like, these really horrible, like, trials and tribulations. And it kind of ended up backfiring on him.
I mean, all of his sons hate his guts, and they really... I mean, most of them just want to kill him. They want him to die.
They also have, like, 0 life skills.
That's true. They have no social skills whatsoever. These poor vampire boys.
Yeah, they're all pretty terrible. But yeah, he just basically added to the issues that his sons had. Also, Karl Heinz's best friend is a glowing ball of light named Socrates.
I'm sorry, did you say a glowing ball of light?
Yes.
Fascinating.
They play chess in an interdimensional realm.
As if vampires weren't enough.
Oh, Vika, vampires are never enough.
I agree. Well, the reason we wanted to talk about Karl Heinz is because he is not an LI, but he's basically the source of this whole storyline. Like, he's the reason all of these terrible things happen to Yui.
Yeah, exactly. He's the underlying antagonist in most of the Diabolik Lovers games. Basically, the MC Yui gets put into this situation where she has to live with all 6 of his sons. And he has this Karl Heinz has this weird experiment thing where he is trying to find, like, a human woman that will help, like, unlock some type of thing so he can figure out who his successor is so he can pass on his power to them. So, an interesting fact about Karl Heinz, fun fact, in one of the fan discs, just to, fuck with his sons further, he decides to tell them that he wants to marry Yui, the MC.
So he could have been an LI.
No, that would have been insanely weird. And also, remember, like, most of his wives are dead.
That's a good point.
He's not a good husband.
I wouldn't wish him on any woman or man for that matter.
No, just no one.
So that's a good lead into the final question. Do you actually want to date this character?
Oh, no.
Absolutely not. Keep Karl Heinz very far away from us.
Yeah, I mean, most of the LIs or even side characters in Diabolik Lovers I'd like to keep very far away from me.
Agreed, but definitely Karl Heinz.
Although, I did recently acquire a blanket with Mukami Haruki's face on it.
Because you would definitely want Mukami Haruki's face close to your body.
Excuse me? This is not that type of podcast.
It's a really fuzzy blanket, though. I really like the blanket.
Yeah,
it's soft.
It's winter time now. It's very cold here, and we used it the other night. Vika came over, and we were like, we're cold. We need a fuzzy blanket. And so we got the nice blanket with Mukami Haruki's face on it, and we snuggled up under it, and it was very, very nice.
Yes, it was lovely.
Yeah. I have a photo of you.
Yeah, I know. I know. It's fine. I accept this to be my life.
Anyways, on to our next side character who we're going to talk about.
So who are we getting sidetracked by now?
Right now, we are getting sidetracked by Sen from Hakuouki. And I remember when we first played Hakuouki, you got super sidetracked by this character.
Because she's best friend Sen. Like, literally, she is Chizuru's best friend. Like, she is the perfect friend. I cannot get over how awesome Sen is. She's a demon princess. Like, she's a demon and a princess.
And you like that.
I like both of those things, independently and together. I almost wish I was a demon princess.
I mean, you're already a princess.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
You definitely are.
Such kind words.
Are they?
Hey! Anyways, Senhime, she provides actually a lot of background info for Chizuru because one thing about her in the game is she's the one who tells Chizuru kind of her backstory and who she really is. At the beginning of Hakuouki, Chizuru doesn't know much other than her father's gone and she's got to go, on a mission. But when she meets Sen, they become fast friends. Like, they get along really, really well. Later on in the game, Sen visits Chizuru and lets her know, like, actually, Chizuru, you are a demon as well. And you are being targeted because you are the last female in your line. So that is basically the reason Kazama wants to kidnap and breed and make the babies with her.
Yeah, in Hakuouki, apparently female demons are really rare, and so, like, all of the male demons who are, like, the head of their families are gonna want to make babies with her, and so one of the antagonists is one of those male demons.
Yeah, I don't know. I really like Sen. I think Chizuru and her make besties.
Yeah. She's really fun to be around. She's really friendly towards Chizuru, but she's also definitely a little bit of a princess. She can be kind of demanding at times.
Absolutely. There's one point in the game where Chizuru almost gets kidnapped by Kazama, I believe, and Sen and Kimigiku come in and they try to get Chizuru to go live with them because they're like, you're not safe here, come with us. The Shinsengumi are not doing their job, and the Shinsengumi gets a little butthurt, and they're like, oh no, what do we do? And Chizuru...
I'm imagining the Shinsengumi being butthurt and whiny now, and it's not making that much sense in my head. Not a lot of whiny characters in the Shinsengumi.
I'm sorry, I wasn't imitating. I was,
Well, no, I right now I have an image of Hijikata being like, oh no, what do I do?
Well, either way, she didn't go because Chizuru was like, no, I have special feelings for these people and I want to stay. So Sen lets her stay. But still, I think Sen's a great character. Like, she's got Chizuru's back.
Yeah, it was really funny because when we were playing this game, I started to get a little bit annoyed at you because we were texting back and forth about what was going on in the game. And literally anytime Sen appeared, you'd like send me paragraphs about how much you loved her, and then you would forget what you were doing and where you were in the game, and you would ask me to remind you what was happening in the story. Despite the fact that I was not the one playing that game at that time. It was you.
Honestly, I don't remember this, but that sounds exactly like something I would do.
You do that in games a lot. You'll get really sidetracked, and then you'll be like, wait a second, Vicky, what's going on here?
Okay, this actually happened with a character recently that we're going to talk about later in this episode. But yes, that is something I would do, and I take full accountability for that. Mm-hmm. So, final question. Would you want to date Sen?
I don't think I'd want to date Sen. She's just not really my type. I feel like she'd be a little bit too princessy. I like down-to-earth people a little bit more.
Yeah.
What about you?
I think in terms of character design, I wouldn't, but I like her personality.
Okay.
I'd be into it. She's cool.
She is cool.
Like, I don't know if I would want to be with her or be her. Maybe both.
That would be a little interesting. How would you do that?
Let's not go into it. Let's get sidetracked by another character.
And the next character that we're going to get sidetracked by is Mukai Eriko from Color Malice.
So Vicky wanted to add Eriko to this list, and at some point I looked at her and I said, who is Eriko? Because I could not remember this woman's name. All I remembered about her is that she is the leader of the Shiraishi Hate Club.
She is the leader of the Shiraishi Hate Club. So, Mukai is second in command to Shiraishi and Color Malice. She's his subordinate in the crime lab, and she hates him.
With a fiery passion.
Like, she really hates him.
She really does hate him.
So that's why she has a Shiraishi hate group with Sakuragawa, who we actually talked about the last time that we did Sidetrack by Side characters.
They both hate him. He is pretty terrible to normal people.
Yeah.
I mean, he's also terrible to Ichika, but, you know.
Shiraishi has problems.
He does.
We're not talking about Shiraishi right now.
Shiraishi being who he is shows us a lot about who Eriko is. Her personality shines through her hatred of him. Because he's terrible. He doesn't have feelings, and he also doesn't acknowledge that other people have feelings. And can you imagine having to work very closely with someone like that? Like, she's with him all the time at the Shinjuku Police Department.
Yes.
Hey, are you looking at me for, like... Why are you looking at me like that?
Because I'm talking to you.
Oh, I thought you were implying something.
I'm definitely not implying something. You have many feelings.
Thanks. Anyways, one of my favorite things about Eriko is that she is such a lush.
She drinks a lot.
She drinks so much. All of the Shiraishi Hate Club meetings take place at a bar. This is also where she tries to get Ichika to join. And she often goes as far to drink herself under the table.
Yeah. Poor Sakuragawa always has to figure out how to get her home safely.
I really like this part of her. It's fun.
Yeah, but honestly, Mukai is very intelligent. She does her job very well, and she's obviously worked very hard to get to where she is. And I think that's another reason why she has a problem with Shiraishi.
Yeah.
Because he kind of belittles everything around him.
Agree.
Including her.
Yeah. It's terrible, because she's pretty brilliant. She does help, and she provides a lot of information. I mean, she's got that job for a reason.
She does. Absolutely does. So, would you want to date this side character?
I think Mukai is a very attractive woman, but I don't think I would want to date her.
I do too. I feel like Mukai and I have a little bit too much in common. Like, in terms of our work style.
I see. Yeah. You'd butt heads a lot.
Yeah. We both like things to be a certain way. I'm very rule-oriented. She is also very rule-oriented. And if our rules didn't match up, then maybe that wouldn't work out so well.
Yeah. I mean, she would be a really cool drinking buddy, though.
Yeah, she would be a fun person to be friends with.
Yes.
But I don't think I would be able to date her.
Agree.
So, I believe now we are going to get to the side character that you have been wanting to talk about for a while.
Ever since episode 21.
I'm pretty sure you wanted to talk about him before that, like, while we were on hiatus. You wanted to talk about him. Okay. So, who is this?
So, when you were saying that I kept getting sidetracked by Sen and Hakuouki, me playing through Piofiore no Bansho was a similar experience with Leo Cavagnis.
It was worse.
Because not only do I love Leo as a character, but, I mean, I'm gonna go right to the end and say I want to date this character. I love him.
Great, let's tell the nice people who he is.
Okay. So, Leo Cavagnis is a member of the Falzone Mafia. It's really great because in almost all of the routes, he's assigned by Dante to be Lily's guardian or protector no matter where she ends up. This boy takes his job seriously. Do you want to contribute? You also know about Leo.
I do, but you're the one who loves him. No, he is. He takes his job seriously. He has a very bright personality with a bit of a sad backstory. He was an orphan, and that's why he ended up joining the Mafia. You actually find out quite a bit about his backstory in 1926, so you are gonna love that.
Oh, that's so great.
You actually get a Leo CG in 1926,
oh my
so
gosh.
look forward to that when 1926 gets localized in 2022.
Yes, I'm definitely going to be playing 1926 just for Leo. Okay, well, not just for Leo.
Just for Leo?
But, you know,
Yeah.
he's part of the experience.
Yeah, he really does love working for the Falzone family because they're like his found family.
Yeah, that's really important. One of my favorite things about Leo is that he often recognizes how Lily feels before the other allies do.
Oh yeah, he's very in touch with what's going on with other people around him.
Totally agree. They become fast friends, and I love that relationship.
Yeah, they're also the same age.
Oh, so cute. I just
Yeah.
love Leo. He's so great.
Yeah, he definitely does what he can to protect and make Lily comfortable, even if it means bending the rules a little bit.
Yeah, unfortunately, when he bends the rules, sometimes Lily gets shot at or kidnapped or, you know, just generally ends up in the line of fire.
Yeah, you know, it's nice and all to, like, want to take someone out for a walk to get some fresh air, but if there are a bunch of people after your life, maybe it's not such a good idea.
Okay, well, Leo doesn't always make the best choices, but I think he and Lily have a great relationship, and I would have loved to see a, like, little side route or a little side romance with them. That would have been super cute.
Not while Dante and Nicola are around.
Agree. So what about you? Would you want to date Leo?
No. I don't know. He's not my type. I mean, he's sweet. He's sweet, but honestly, that's kind of all I feel about it. Like, I'd be friends with him, but I wouldn't date him. You look so disappointed right now.
Does anyone else like Leo as much as I do? Please tell me. If you are a Leo fan, please let me know, because I need to bond with someone, and Vicky is not doing it for me.
I'm sorry. We have different types. You know, it's actually really, really rare for us to really like the same allies. Piofiore was definitely a unique experience for us because we had the same favorite LI there.
Yeah.
But that never happens. So this should make sense to you that I am not as excited about Leo as you are.
Yeah, it does make sense. I totally get it. And I agree with you. It isn't very common that we have the same LI.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you like Kanato from Diabolik Lovers.
What's wrong with Creepy Baby? Ugh. Okay, anyways. So, it's fine. Either way, there's another character from Piofiore no Bancho that we want to talk about as well.
Yes, Roberto de Feo.
Roberto.
Yes, I can't do that. I can't roll my R's. Roberto is a detective who just moved to town. And
From Rome.
From Rome. Yeah, he did move from Rome. And he has a very strong sense of justice, and what that means is mafia equals bad, no ifs, ands, or oshiris.
Uh-huh.
That means butts in Japanese.
That's right. Oshiri means butts. So no ifs, ands, or buts.
Do you know what else oshiri is? It's a word that rhymes with your new last name.
Thanks, Vicky.
You're welcome, Vika.
Oshiri is a great word.
It's a wonderful word.
Either way, Roberto is having a very difficult time adjusting to life in a town where it's run by the mafia because he hates the mafia.
He gets a lot of headaches.
Yeah, he really does. Like, Roberto adjusting to being part of the police force under Marco was very difficult to see in Piofiore.
Yeah, there's a lot of butting heads because Roberto he's just not very flexible in terms of his morals and his sense of justice.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, he's actually a little bit of a shy tsun in most of the routes. Not all of the routes, most of the routes. He definitely has a thing for Lily, the MC, but he acts kind of standoffish towards her, so she actually thinks that he hates her.
It's really cute. He's a tsundere. Yeah. But I don't know. I really liked Roberto's character design. I thought he was pretty cute.
Yeah, I did too. He's also the narrator at the beginning of the story.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and during the opening of the game, he's the one who's talking about the situation in Berlone and explains to you who each of the mafia factions are.
I see.
Yeah, interestingly enough, his father is actually a politician in Rome. He has a little bit of a complex about that because sometimes people will imply that he's kind of like his dad's minion instead of his own person.
Yeah, the whole idea about him getting where he was because of his lineage.
Which is not true. He's very much his own person and has his own ideas, his own sense of justice, his own version of right and wrong, and you can see in the story, and you also see in 1926 a lot, that it doesn't always match up with what his father is thinking or what his father is doing.
True. He's also a smart guy.
He is. He's very smart.
He is good at his job.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, in a lot of the routes, minus Nicola's, listen to episode 22 for information about that. He ends up being able to somewhat get his head out of his butt to work with the Falzone and Visconti families towards a common goal, but that doesn't usually happen without a lot of poking and prodding from everyone around him.
That's true. Even poking and prodding from the mafia themselves.
Yes.
Which is not quite tolerable for Roberto.
No, he gets kind of grumpy about that.
Agree. So, would you want to date this character?
So, maybe?
Maybe. Okay.
Maybe. Like, I think I'd go on a few dates with him and see how it goes, but kind of like with Mukai, I have some overlapping with Roberto. We'd probably be too serious for each other and just, like, sit there and be serious all the time.
Yeah, I see what you mean. If both of you are not flexible, then it's not as enjoyable.
Once again, this is not that type of podcast. You are on a roll today, Vika. What is up with you?
I don't know. I personally think that you would be a good match, but that's just my opinion. I liked Roberto as a character. I thought it was really cute, especially for Lily. And seeing him as he starts from the beginning of the storyline being very rigid and being a little bit more accepting at the end of each route was really nice to see. Like, he actually got character growth in this game.
Yeah, he definitely did. But would you date him?
He's cute.
He is cute. He's a very attractive man.
He is a very attractive man. I don't know if I would date him.
So here's the problem with this, Vika. If you dated Leo and I dated Roberto, we would never be able to speak to each other again.
That's a really good point. Yeah, well, you know, you live, you learn.
You live, you learn. So just to recap, the side characters that we've gone over today are Karl-Heinz from Diabolik Lovers, Sen from Hakuouki, Mukai from Color Malice, and then Leo and Roberto from Piofiore. Before we close out,
we have a couple of questions about these characters that Vicky has prepared, so let us discuss.
Question number 1. Which one of these characters would you want to go to Disneyland with? Let's discuss.
Okay, let's discuss. Which one of these characters would I actually want to go to Disneyland with? Obviously, I'd want to go to Disneyland with Leo.
Yeah?
Yeah, because it'd be fun.
Okay.
I just don't think I'd have fun at Disneyland with Roberto. And definitely wouldn't have fun at Disneyland with Karl-Heinz.
What do you think Disneyland with Karl-Heinz would be like?
Dangerous.
You know, there actually is a fan disc of Diabolik Lovers where there is a carnival.
Yes, but I don't think Disneyland is very similar to that carnival.
Probably not.
What about you? Who would you want to go to Disneyland with?
So my answer is a little bit of a cop-out, I guess, because I don't like theme parks.
Then why did you come up with this question?
Because I wanted to hear your answer. But I do have an answer, and my answer is who would not go to Disneyland with me? And I think Roberto would not go to Disneyland with me.
I see what you mean.
I think if you came to us and were like, let's go to Disneyland, we would both be like, no, we're gonna go do something else.
Okay, I see what you mean. So you'd rather spend time with Roberto instead of go to Disneyland with any other LI?
No, I just don't want to go to Disneyland.
Okay, got it. Okay, understood. Okay, let's go over question 2. This is an interesting question. Who do you think is the messiest in their home?
Yeah. And then also, who do you think is the messiest at work?
Okay, if I were to think about it, Karl-Heinz, Eriko, Sen, Roberto, and Leo. Who would be the messiest?
So, at home, I think I know who's going to be the messiest at home.
You do? Who?
I'm pretty sure that's going to be Leo.
Really? Why?
Because he seems like a messy person.
Okay. I don't quite get that sense.
I don't know, he's kind of wah-wah, and he's just like... I get that vibe from him. Like, he seems like a young bachelor, basically. He seems like some of the guys that we went to college with who were, like, sweet and cool, but you wouldn't want to go into their room because they would have a giant pile of dirty laundry in the corner, and they haven't washed their dishes in a week.
You're ruining my image of Leo.
Am I?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Let's see. Who would be the messiest at work? My guess is probably Roberto.
Actually... there are scenes in Piofiore where he gets mad at Maruko for Maruko's desk being messy.
Then, not Roberto.
Actually, you know who else I think would be messy at home?
Who?
I think Mukai would be messy at home.
I also get that sense, too.
Yeah, because she's a perfectionist at work, so I feel like at home... And I think this kind of goes into her being a little bit like me in terms of that. Because at work, I'm a giant perfectionist, and at home, I'm just like, things all over the place.
Yeah, no, you definitely are like that. I get that sense as well with her, because her being so on top of things at work, and then in her off time, just... going out and drinking and enjoying life. Like, I could totally see her being messy at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Messy at work.
I don't really get a good sense of who, other than maybe Karl-Heinz?
I actually think maybe would be Karl-Heinz. I mean, he's so ultra powerful that... And I mean, he probably just remembers where everything is and so can, like, put papers all over his desk and be like, oh yeah, this paper is under this and this and this, and it wouldn't be too much of an issue.
I feel like he would be messy because there are more important things to think about.
That's true.
Like, if he were ever looking for something in an office space, would he really give it that much effort to care about it?
He probably would not care about it. He cares about very few things. So you're right. I agree with that conclusion.
Okay. Cool.
All right.
Last question?
The last question is, who would be the least concerned and who would be the most concerned if they woke up and had shrunk to the size of a cat?
Vicky, why do I let you come up with the questions?
That is a really, Really good question. Would you like to answer that question? Why do you let me come up with the questions?
Okay, let me answer the actual question. So, just to get this straight so I can understand what you're asking me. If one of these people had been shrunk to the size of the cat, who would be the least concerned and who would be the most concerned?
Yes.
Okay. Who would be the least concerned if they became a small cat? Whoa, okay. Let me clarify. Is it that they became a small cat or that they are just tiny and, like the size of a small cat?
It's them, and they're the size of a small cat.
Like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yes, except a little larger.
Okay. This is absurd. Okay, who would be the least concerned? My guess is Karl-Heinz would be the least concerned.
Yeah,
because he'd still be powerful.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't matter how tall he is.
That's a good point. I agree with that. I think he would be the least concerned.
I feel like it'd be really hard for Roberto, Leo, and Mukai to do their jobs.
What about Sen?
Sen's a demon, so she gets a little bit of a pass. Maybe it's like supernatural versus not supernatural.
Okay. So in that case, out of Mukai, Leo, and Roberto, who would be the most panicked if they woke up being cat-sized?
Definitely Roberto.
Really?
Yeah.
I think it would be Leo.
Why?
Because he goes panicky.
He does go panicky when things are kind of like up in the air.
Yeah, Roberto doesn't do the panicky as often, but Leo goes the panicky.
I don't know, but you've seen Roberto. Never mind, I'm not going to say anything. That's a spoiler. I don't know. I could be on board with saying either Leo or Roberto.
Okay, fine. We'll go with that. Either Leo or Roberto would be the most concerned if they woke up and had been shrunk to the size of a cat.
Thank you for gathering these questions. They are things I never would have thought of or would even have considered even answering. So, what a joy. Anyway, thanks for joining us on another episode of Sidetracked by Side Characters, where we get sidetracked by side characters and sidetracked by questions that don't make any sense.
If you like what you hear and would like to support us, we have a Buy Me a Coffee account where you can donate to us keeping the podcast going.
We want to extend a big thank you to Andrea for being a supporter. We are so happy that you love the podcast, and we really do appreciate you. Thank you so much. We also have a Twitter and Instagram where you can stay updated on what we're up to.
Thanks, everyone, for listening.
Bye!